So my acronym is the word balanced. And balance with triple C, actually. We'll go into it. But
so it's not passion or chemistry.
It's not passion, it's not
explosion.
chemistry.
Okay.
No. You know, that's the other thing, because I think chemistry is extremely overrated. It should be valued, because I think it's important, but it's extremely overrated. Mm-hmm. Because what chemistry does, and this is why they say love is blind, is because it really gets in the front of your head, creates all these chemicals, and you're not able to see the person as who they really are.
It's true.
You're feeling these chemicals, and you think you like the person, but what you're liking is the chemical reaction that person is creating in you. You don't know this person. How can you really like them or love them? So that's why I'm a firm believer in the advice that my parents always told me, which is spend time getting to know the other person. And everything that comes your way is just information. Mm-hmm. You don't try to add to it, make them more, amazing that they really are, and also you don't try to delete all the little things and little red flags that you're seeing. Everything is information.
And you don't, what I've heard you talk about is like not choosing to be with someone based on potential.
No.
Why not?
Because then you're basically going to spend a lot of time to try to mold them and make them or encourage them into becoming that potential. But every person is just living their own life. Nobody wants to be changed. Saying to a person, you should do this, you should do that. No, nobody likes that.
I guess it's different if you're seeing that someone's taking their own actions and they're becoming something.
Yes,
then
that's
you can
different.
be inspired by that potential.
Yeah.
But if you're like, well, they're so good, but they could be so much more, but they're not taking any actions to show it, then that's not the same.
And that's why I think the key of what you just said is if you're already seeing they're taking action. The problem is if they're not taking action, but you are the one seeing that they could take the action, you're going to start saying, hey, do this, do that, do that. And at the end of the day, that creates a dynamic that is like this. You telling this person that they should be different. And that creates a lot of resentment from the other person and a lot of resentment on yourself because you're trying really hard to change them.
Right.
Yeah.
One of the things that, before you get into your acronym, which I think is really powerful, we've read so many books together. I'll talk about some of this. We've done so many different things together, which has been really cool. But one of the things that we talked about before we got, committed to one another, we spent many months together, so much time together before we got committed. I made a conscious decision, and I think you did as well, that we were going to choose to accept the person for who they were in that moment and what we've experienced, and saying, okay, if this is who you are, I choose to accept you. It doesn't mean I'm not going to get frustrated or have some aggravations here and there, but choosing to accept and love you for this person that I'm experiencing and let stuff go, like just not let other things affect me.
Yeah.
And that takes a lot of work for me to continue to grow and a lot of work for you to continue to grow, to accept one another. So it's been, but having that and feeling like I can be 100% who I am is the greatest peace and freedom I've ever experienced in my life.
Me too, for me.
And I'm sure for you, like I told her before this day, I said, listen, if we're gonna choose to commit to one another, I said, I'm never going to get angry at you. And I don't think I have. Maybe I've gotten, a little frustrated, but I haven't gotten angry at you in over 2 years.
No.
I mean, call me out if I am.
No, you haven't.
I've gotten maybe frustrated, or I've been tired, or I've been, whatever, not my best self, but I'm not getting angry at you. And hopefully I never do get angry at you. But I made that commitment. I was like, I am going to accept you. As long as we're living into the agreements that we've agreed to, with flexibility, with, patience, then I should have no reason to be angry at you because I've gotten to know you up to this point of who you are. I've seen so much of you, probably 90% of your personality I got to witness in multiple months of tons of time and trips and traveling and all these things we went to. I was like, okay, I've seen a lot of your personality. Obviously, I don't know everything about you, but we knew a lot about each other. And I was like, okay, if this is who you are, then there's no reason for me to get angry. Unless you start not acting this way and you act like a completely different person, I'm going to accept you and never get angry at you because there's no reason for me to. And hopefully that makes you feel at peace, because
it makes me feel very at peace.
And I know, and I said, and that's my one thing, I need you to accept and love me, because if I'm going to give that to you, I don't want someone getting angry at me or reactive or frustrated. It doesn't work for me.
Yeah.
And so it was a mutual agreement and understanding from the beginning. And again, I was like, it doesn't mean you can't be frustrated or let down or sad or disappointed. You can have emotions and feel things, but lashing out on me doesn't make sense if we're trying to create a value system of conscious relationship. For me, it didn't make sense, because I'd had that so many times in the past and I didn't like it.
Yeah.
So I'd rather be alone and single and at peace in my own space than be on eggshells, wondering when is someone going to be unhappy with me or react to me or whatever. And so it's been a beautiful experience. I'm very grateful for you for that.
It's been a beautiful experience for me.
But I don't know if a lot of people can have learned how to do that. And so what is this balanced acronym that you...
Oh, yeah. So, okay, I think this is very important. I mean, at least it was for me, and it is for me. One of them, I said it's balanced, right? So the B, which is super important, is be yourself. A lot of the times when we meet someone new, we are trying to mold ourselves to who they are, or just show the best version of yourself at all times, the whole time, or things like that. Just be yourself. And in order for you to be yourself and your authentic self, get to know yourself. And getting to know yourself also takes the exercise of knowing how do you like to be loved and how you like to love.
And we got very fortunate, because early on we went through so many different exercises on our love languages.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it was like just synchronicities or timing, but we have the exact same order of love language.
Yes,
meaning, what I like to give, I also like to receive, and she likes to give and receive as well.
Yeah.
So I'm not really a gift person. If she buys me a gift, I'm like, thank you, but it's not like, oh, it makes me feel so loved and so warm and I feel so appreciated and seen. It's like, I'm cool, but I can buy this myself. I'm kind of have that mentality. I'm like, okay, cool, but it doesn't make me feel loved.
Yeah.
But touch and affirmations, and words of affirmation, like, I'm doing that with you all day and you're doing that with me, and I'm like, man, I feel really loved. So I don't have to work harder to make you feel loved. And you don't have to work harder to make me feel loved or do something that you normally don't do authentically.
Yeah.
And I think that alignment has been really helpful. And I'm not saying it's what has to happen, but it's been really helpful for me and for us.
Yeah, it's been really helpful. And even if we didn't have the same love languages, because maybe some people here say, wait a second, we don't have the same love languages. We do. And this is great. Mom and dad, they have it too. They have words of affirmation with each other and acts of service with each other. But if you have different ones, you can have the conversation and then do the things that you know for the other person will make them feel loved.
Exactly.
And then vice versa.
Exactly. So that's the B.
So the B is be your authentic self. The A is so important, which we touched a little bit on this, is acceptance. It's so important to accept the other person, which is why it's important to take your time to get to know them, because you're going to see if the things that you hold as your values, as your vision, and as your lifestyle matches with the values, which is so important, of the other person, and their vision, and also the lifestyle.
We did a lot of exercises early on about our values and our vision.
Yeah.
We actually went to a location and we did a whole meditation process where I said, listen, I want you to write your values and I'm going to write my values. We're not going to let each other see them until after we both complete it. Because I wanted to see if we're in alignment or if we're completely off on things. Not meaning it wouldn't work out, but we'd have to come to an agreement on alignment.
Yeah.
And we had so many things in alignment based on this exercise where I was like, okay, she's not just writing something down because she knows I wrote it down and vice versa. She's not doing something because she wants to impress me. You were just writing down what your values were. And that was just another helpful exercise, I think, for both of us to be like, okay, maybe those three things are my values, but I'm not against those things. And same thing for you. It's like, okay, he really values this. It's not really for you, but you're not against it. It's not against your values.
It actually enriches my life and vice versa. So, and a lot of them were very similar values.
Yeah, very similar.
It was a beautiful exercise that I recommend to everybody, even if you are already together. Just
Do
write
the
it,
exercise.
separate from each other. What are your
And
values?
see how you
And
can
then
find
share.
alignment. We did an 8-hour therapy session on a Saturday one time together. And it's kind of crazy, but it's also extremely powerful
It was.
on all the different exercises that we did. And we learned more and more about each other. Even though we were doing these exercises together, it was powerful to have a third party who had been seasoned in these things to support us in any disagreements we might have. Because we do have disagreements, but they don't become arguments because we create conscious conversations to form new agreements around a disagreement.
Yeah.
And that allows us to have more peace and harmony as opposed to resentment. So it's beautiful what you're talking about with
Yeah, I think acceptance is very important because of the changing thing that we just talked about. Most people don't want to be changed by the other person. So just accept the person for who they are and where they are.
Exactly.
I think that's very important. And the L from balance is laughter. I think laughter, joy, sexiness, like anything that you guys enjoy
Harper?
together. That's why I said laughter and joy. I'm curating this, all of this for Harper.
Exactly.
I think that's important.
Yeah,
You
laughter.
know, laughter, joy, appreciation with each other. You know, having these moments. I think, you know, I don't think anyone's going to disagree with
laughter,
that. The other A, which I think is extremely important, is allowance.
What do you mean by allowance? Allowing someone to do whatever they want at any moment, at any time?
No, I think allowance has to do with flexibility, like allowing the person to make mistakes. Sometimes we get into, when you're in relationships, sometimes you get into silly arguments because somebody made just a tiny mistake and you're like, how come you didn't take out the dogs? And I don't know. Well, I just forgot. And that's okay. Like allowance, have the allowance.
So I don't have to be perfect all the time?
You don't have to be perfect all the time, no. And also because I am living my human experience and Louis is living his human experience and we're just sharing it with each other. Mm-hmm. So if in your human experience there's something that happens to you, you're just living your life. Mm-hmm. And I'm here for you and next to you and you're allowed to be. You know, it's the allowance also of having freedom
in the relationship.
Within the relationship. Yeah. I think it's important. Like the other day you came home and I saw this jiu-jitsu suit outfit and I'm like, oh, it looks like he's getting into jiu-jitsu now. He's like, yeah, I'm gonna get into jiu-jitsu. Oh, what if your ears go into, like if he wants to turn his ears into broccoli or whatever, Brussels sprouts. I'm like, that's his life. It's good. He's living his life.
Broccoli?
I don't know, whatever they look.
Cauliflower? Is it what cauliflower ears?
I don't know how you call it. I just think it's a vegetable, but.
Vegetable. He wants to turn his ears into carrots and asparagus. Like a salad.
I'm gonna love you. It's your life.
Right.
We're sharing it with each other. So anybody's allowed. Sometimes, well, I want to go on this trip with the guys. Go on the trip with the guys. If that's something you need. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure he's okay with me going on a trip with the girls. Like sometimes we get stuck in these little things because they make us feel unsafe. And so the more we feel unsafe, we want to have these parameters to create safety, but in reality starts creating a cage. I think when you are putting two things together like this, it's easily to do this. But when you're doing a braid, and you're braiding this thing with God, then it becomes solid and strong and beautiful. Mm-hmm. I am so grateful for you.